and welcome to Gender Agenda on AIT, your number one premium policy literacy program for women in Africa. My name is Adora Sidney Jack, and I will be taking you through the rundowns of the program today. Nigeria celebrates its independence every 1st October, marking the nation's declaration of freedom from British dominance as a colonial master, and this October 1st, Nigeria turns a glorious 64 years of age. Now let's look at some quick facts you should know about the great country. In the Atlantic Ocean, Nigeria is situated between the Sahel to the north and the Gulf of Guinea to the south. The country also borders Niger in the north, Chad in the northeast, Cameroon in the east, and Benin in the west. Nigeria has over 500 different regional languages and became a republic on October 1st, 1963. In 2015, Nigeria became the first African country to rid itself of the Ebola virus. Indeed, these facts may arguably be disputed or undisputed, yet one which cannot dispute is the fact that Nigeria's independence was well fought out also by exceptional women, heroines of exceptional brilliance and mental strength. On today's show, we will be taking you through some of the heroines who set the pace and who walked the work. In the meantime, let's take you through our segments, shall we? And yes, indeed, happy independence, everyone. Till we see you again next week, enjoy the show. The passing of the presidential sash every 6 years is always an important and symbolic occasion in Mexico. On Tuesday, when it was placed over the shoulder of Claudia Sheinbaum, the first woman to hold the highest office in the country, it was truly a historic watershed moment in more than 200 years of modern Mexican history. It has been a long road which led to the first female mayor of Mexico City to break the glass ceiling in Mexican politics again, this time at the national level. To huge cheers of Presidenta, ringing out both inside and outside the congressional chamber, she raised her feast in victory, savoring the moment. She began her first speech as president by thanking her political mentor and predecessor in the top job, Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador, calling him the most important political leader and social warrior in Mexico's modern history. He leaves office, she said, with the greatest love for his people. It is time for women, she said to the applause from the governing party's lawmaker. Women have arrived to shape the destiny of this great country. As she set her agenda as president, it was again clear that Lopez Obrador's vision for Mexico had provided a broad blueprint. She urged people to access using cold hard facts on what had been achieved over the past 6 years. How was unemployment reduced? Greater well-being created? The minimum wage repeatedly increased, but not inflation, she said. Her conclusion was simple. Through Mexican humanism, the name she gives to the political project she has shared with her mentor, Lopez Obrador, will be that template for the best part of the 2 decades and more. A statistic obtained from the Electoral Commission showed that at the close of nominations in Ghana, a total of 114 people comprising 23 females, 20% and 91 males, 80%, were vying for the 34 parliamentary seats in the Greater Accra region. 23 women have been filed and filled nominations to contest for parliamentary seats in various constituencies in Greater Accra. They include 9 incumbent female members of parliament and 3 independent candidates contesting at the Adeton, Shege, and Shai Osudoku constituencies representatively. A statistic obtained from the Electoral Commission showed that at the close of nominations, a total of 114 people were represented. Meanwhile, 2 females have been cleared by the Electoral Commission to contest as presidential candidates in the December polls. They are Madame Akua Donka, Ghana Freedom Party, and Nana Frimpoma Sapong Kuma Convention People's Party. In cricket in Zimbabwe, T20 World Cup was shattered by Nigeria after the latter secured Africa's solitary ticket to the Global Junior Cricket Showpiece. Zimbabwe were up against Nigeria in the final of the Under-19 Women's T20 World Cup qualifiers in Kigali, Rwanda. However, the game was abandoned due to rain and Nigeria was adjourned winners on a head-to-head basis. In the group stages, Zimbabwe suffered a shock one-wicket defeat at the hands of Nigeria, a loss that came back to haunt them in the final. This would have been Zimbabwe's second appearance at the tournament after they took part in the inaugural ICC Women's Under-19 T20 World Cup in South Africa in 2020. In South Africa, they qualified by being a full member. However, this time around, they had to go through a qualification tournament. The team coached by Trevor Gawar looked on course to win in the final before the rains conspired to disrupt the proceedings. Nigeria won the toss and elected to bat first and were restricted to 77 over 18 in 20 overs. At that time, the game was called off and Zimbabweans were batting in 19 over 1 in 2-3 overs.
In everything, we should give God thanks, whether good or bad. We are alive to witness this day, 64th independent. So many have gone, so many are still alive, some are born, some are yet to be born, and we still praise God for how far He has brought us. That Nigeria has not scattered despite all the plans of the wicked ones. So far so good. We thank God. I wish Nigeria more progress, peace especially. A country that does not have peace cannot thrive well. I wish Nigeria peace. Let there be happiness, unity, and more progress. And I believe if something wants to get better, it must get hard first. So it doesn't necessarily mean because things are hard now, Nigeria has collapsed. Nigeria will get better. All the policies that have been put in place. Let me cite an example. If a woman is pregnant, that pregnancy doesn't grow in one day. It takes processes. So I believe we should calm down and pray along with the leaders, assist them to achieve their aim. Nigeria will be better.
We have seen pre-colonial, post-colonial events that have shaped Nigeria into what it is currently at 64. We have been through the hips, we have been through trials, we have been through tribulations, but we're still standing. Nobody can come out and say we're not an independent nation. Even with the ills and bads that happen in society, we're still standing. People are complaining of the economy, fine now. But then we're not having mass deaths or natural disasters that are claiming numerous lives. We're a blessed nation. We have everything that we need to progress and prosper. And God has continued to give us what we need. We just pray for better leadership, honorable leadership, and youth involvement, because the nation can't move without us, and that's the truth. Nothing can move without the young ones, because if the old ones die, and there are no young ones to take over, then there's nothing left.
Good leadership. We need people that will rule us without us crying for them for help. People that that are willing to support the youth and provide things that look like job opportunities, give things that's going to benefit the citizens and not just for their own benefits at all. But Nigeria is a great country, better than most of the countries that we know. It's certain we know about that. So we just pray for a better country, and we're happy independence. Everybody happy independence in Nigeria. Nigeria is a great country. I love my country, and I will serve my country.
supported by NDI to help women in politics in Nigeria eliminate online-based violence. We have a co-design workshop which is aimed at co-creating solutions led by the women in Nigeria to end online violence, especially against women in politics. Our expectations is that we come out of here with interventions that work for the women in Nigeria. It has been apparent that online violence is rampant, it's growing, and so we're expecting to be led by the Nigerians, to be informed by what works for the context for women in Nigeria and by women in Nigeria.
This is an area that is quite evolving. It is also an area that many people do not know about, neither do they know about the impact that it has as a barrier to women participating in politics, is to see how we as a community will be able to work together as multi-stakeholders that have interest and passion in this area to ensure that it does not stop women from coming out to participate fully and effectively in politics.
So Policy is an organization that has decided to come to Nigeria to start conversations, or let's say workshops and conferences that has to do with bringing women together, not only women, bringing women-led organizations or women in politics organizations together, so that we can have conversations on how to address issues of online gender-based violence. So interestingly, online gender-based violence is something that I, as a lawyer, have been training, other organizations about, and also I'm the executive director of DG Civic Initiative, which is an initiative to promote and protect digital rights and the civic space. And so with that, Policy came in and decided to partner with us and Women in Politics and the NDI, so that we can all talk about how to address online gender-based violence against women in politics, because that is a big issue. We saw that happen even in the 2023 elections, where you see the way women are being attacked. It discourages other women from actually, coming out to vie for positions. In Nigeria, we have seen where a woman leader was burnt in her house. All this kind of violence, they all start sometimes from the online space, even though there are some that are just physical realms. So I think it's important to tackle gender-based violence, and especially those ones now that we now call OVAL, which is online violence against women, and especially now targeting women in politics. So what we're doing now, we're trying to think about around the issues, the challenges, and then find solutions and the way we can intervene, so that the next election round that will be happening in Nigeria, we'll be able to have gotten a grasp of all that, all these issues that would arise, and we'll be able to address them appropriately. We want to be proactive about the way we would address online violence against women in politics.
Women in Politics Forum and Policy are training women, civil society organizations, to see how violence against women online will be minimized. We all know that violence is one strategy that people use to discourage women's participation in politics. And here we are deliberating on how best to see more participation of women in politics, because at the end of the day, we don't just want to see women ending as voters. We want to see women elected as House of Reps members, governors, and even the presidential seats, because we want a society that reflects the people they govern, and women are a significant number. Women are half of this population, and we want half of the population to hold half of the power.
From this program, we are expecting that participants here will become champions, and we'll also reach out to people, around them, step down whatever training that they've received here. We are also forming a curriculum for us to, take this down to every part of Nigeria and Africa, actually. So women fail to participate in politics because they are afraid of violence. And the new violence now is the online violence. And this is really terrible. So we are looking at how we can combat it.
History hasn't always been kind to women, and Nigerian history in particular often overlooks the women who shaped it. Even in that, they are rarely given their due. Let's take, for instance, what we were taught in school about Funmilayo Ransome Kuti, that she was Afrobeats legend Fela Kuti's mother and the first Nigerian woman to drive a car. A fun fact, for sure, but it barely scratches the surface of her impact on Nigerian society. Let's take you through the list of our dynamic women who fought for Nigeria's independence or participated towards our achieving it. First on our list is Alimotu Pelewura, led the charge against British colonial taxes that unfairly targeted Nigerian market women in the 1930s. As a founder of the Lagos Market Women's Association, she organized protests that forced colonial authorities to rethink their policies. She was focused on taxation while also fighting for better working conditions and market reforms, making sure traders' voices were heard. Her activism put her in close collaboration with other influential women like Ransome Kuti, and together they shaped and helped the nationalist movement. Number 2 is Margaret Ekpo. Margaret was a major force in Nigeria's independence movement, known for her fierce advocacy of women's political rights. Well, less talked about, though, but her role in labor activism precedes her. She fought to get women involved in politics, encouraging them to vote and take an active role in shaping Nigeria's future. Margaret Ekpo worked closely with nationalist leaders like Nnamdi Azikiwe and strongly pushed for self-rule. Next on our list, number 3, is Elizabeth Adekowe. Elizabeth created space for women in Nigeria's political arena. In the 1940s, she founded the Nigerian Women's Party, pushing back against the colonial and the political systems that kept women on the sidelines. Through rallies and grassroots organizing, she fought for equal representation and made sure women had to say their bit in Nigeria's future. Adekowe worked with nationalist leaders and was active in the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons, ensuring women were part of the broader movement. By organizing women at every level, she helped shift the narrative, proving that women weren't just on the margins, they were at the heart of the fight for Nigeria's independence. Now let's meet Hajiya Gambo Sawaba, Nigeria's most jailed female activist in Nigeria's history. She was incarcerated 16 times for vocally opposing child marriage, forced labor, discriminatory taxes, and forced labor without pay. By 17 years of age, Hajiya Gambo Sawaba was already standing up to colonial authorities and local powers alike, joining the Northern Elements Progressive Union at a time when women in the North were expected to stay silent. Sawaba fought loudly against forced marriages, child labor, and a system that kept women from basic rights. She led protests, faced prison cells, and endured beatings for her cause. Sawaba wanted change where it mattered most, in healthcare, in education, and giving northern women a chance to thrive. And she was not afraid to suffer for it. She pushed for Nigeria's independence, yes, and just as importantly, she pushed for women to have a place in it. Number 5 on our list is Janet Mokelo. Now, Janet Mokelo was the General Secretary of the NCNC Women's Wing in 1944. And in 1964, the United Progressive Grand Alliance made her its Secretary General. Her contributions to Nigeria's independence movement were rooted in her direct involvement with political leadership and a tireless fight for women's voting rights. As an active member of the NCNC, she actively pushed for self-rule within the Eastern region, and in 1951, Mokele broke ground by becoming one of the first women to be elected to the Eastern House of Assembly. Number 6 comes to us as Wuraola Essa. Wuraola ensured that women had a voice in Nigeria's political journey to independence. In Ibadan, She led efforts to bring women into the fold of politics, helping them engage in a space where their voices had often been excluded. Her determination paid off in 1960 when she became Nigeria's first female senator appointed by the Western region on the Premier Obafemi Awolowo's Action Group party. Her son's advocacy for women's rights and education didn't fade after independence. Rather, it laid a foundation for more women to step into politics in the years that followed. And number 7 is Tamimowo Ogunlesi, who is notably noted for her work in women's rights and education. Initially trained as a teacher, she later founded the Women's Improvement Society in 1947, a group aimed at improving the living conditions of women and promoting the education for girls. Her political involvement deepened in the 1950s when she joined Obafemi Awolowo's Action Group and founded its women's section. In 1953, Ogunlesi made history as the only woman in the Nigerian delegation to the United Kingdom, where they discussed Nigeria's independence. Well, we all know this list would be incomplete without the indomitable Funmilayo Ransome Kuti, who took the reins on behalf of both women and men against colonial oppression. In the 1940s, she rallied thousands of women through the Abeokuta Women's Union, forcing the British to backtrack on their unfair taxes. Her protests weren't just about market women. They were a stand against the colonial system itself. This chronicle is like stardust on a cosmic cape, you would say. And that is to say, there are many, many more women, many more heroines unsung who paved the way, took the fight into hearts that gave us our path as an independent nation. Like many countries in Africa where women fought for their nation's independence, from Bibi Titi Mohammed of Tanzanian pioneer, champion of women's participation in the liberation movement and struggle from Tanganyika's independence from colonial rule and the subsequent unification of Tanganyika and Zanzibar to become Tanzania, and of course to Putuse Apollos of Namibia, who was one of the founders of the Pan-African Women's Organization in 1962, which was the movement leading the independence fight of Namibia from colonial rule and one of the first women to go into exile during the Namibian fight for independence. And many more heroines, some who died while fighting for their nation's independence, to others who live relishing in the times when they came, when they saw, and when they indeed conquered. For us, as Nigerian women, we will not forget. We will never forget the role those women played and have left legacies in the sand. Long live Nigeria. Long live our heroines. No woman, no Niger. Happy 64th independence. Happy 64th independence to Nigeria.
All across the nations, all around the world, women are longing to be free. No longer in the shadows, forced to stay behind, but side by side in true equality. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development and peace. Women can't be silent when all around the world people hurt and hungry children cry. We'll sing out loud for justice and development and hold the rights of other people high. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never song for women everywhere. Equality, development, and peace. Women now are working to build a better world, where the love of peace can rest on every shore, where men lay down their weapons and learn to love and share, and people work to bring an end to war. So sing a song for women.